Hey guys, happy Sunday. Happy Species Sunday to those of you who are celebrating. Today I'm going to go over how to prepare food for your fry or Ranchu fryer, and it generally applies to all all fish fry, baby fish. And you can see I'm wearing the Aquarium Co-op shirt, and I mean they're not sponsoring me, but this is like the only fish shirt I have, so I'm gonna wear it. I don't care. And so for this video, this is mostly for people who can't culture foods or who can't use live foods. Generally speaking, live foods are always better, so I'd always recommend using that. Now for this video, for this method, I would really recommend putting something over your nose and mouth because that you're going to make a very fine powder and you're going to inhale it and it's going to mess up your sinuses. So use a mask or you can use an old shirt. I will demonstrate how to do this. Basically, you're going to put the shirt over your head like this. You want to tuck it in the front and in the back if you want to be super clean. And you're just going to pull it up over your ears and nose like this. Now, I'm not going to be using the shirt because, I want you guys to be able to hear me when I'm talking to you, so I guess I'll take one for the team. Now, you want to start out with a clean bowl. Make sure everything's clean and dry and there's no food left over in here because that can pollute your water and it's just not good for the fish. Also, if I learned anything from Walter White is you always want to cook in a clean kitchen. Now, you're going to need a straining material to put over this so you can make your fine food particles. Now, what I would recommend is this rubber mesh. You can get it I think I got this at Home Depot. I got like a whole big roll of it and it was like really dirt cheap. And it has a very fine particle size that could fit through there. So what I would do is I would just fold it twice and make sure it's flat, and then you're going to get a very fine particle that's going to be able to go through here. Now we just put that over the bowl, maybe use a rubber band. You generally want to have a small bowl because then it's easier to work with. Now what I'm going to be using in this video is this one, because this is the one I've been using. Basically this is just like a fabric, I don't know what you call it, but my girlfriend gave me some socks for Christmas, and it came in this this little pouch or whatever. And for me, it's like, well, I'm not going to use this because I have a shelf with all my socks. So I just threw this on the ground, but I didn't throw it away because I was like, what if I need it for something fish related? But so, lo and behold, I had babies I wasn't ready for, and I didn't have anything but this, and I was so happy that I didn't throw it out because this helped me out a lot because I was having trouble feeding my small fish, and I didn't have any cultures going, any live food. Now I want to talk about some of the foods I use for this process. I use mostly brine shrimp. These are the cubes, and you take a lid off and smell it. You can smell it. It has a very strong smell, and that's how you know it's a pretty good quality. This is from Hikari. And they make little cubes of brine shrimp. I also use bloodworms. The bloodworms are a little harder to use because they don't come in cubes. They just come in like individual worms. I don't know if you can see that. So they're a little harder to use, but bloodworms are very highly recommended for baby goldfish. I also use the Hikari First Bites, and this stuff is like very fine, so you don't need a whole lot, just like a pinch or two will do. And it's good. It's good for new fish. It's the perfect particle size. I also use Golden Pearls. It's got about 60% protein, crude protein. And you generally want for your young goldfish to have a higher protein diet than your adults to help them grow. And I got this, it was 4 ounces for about $8 at the co-op store down in near Tampa, Florida. And this stuff is also very fine. And you don't really need a whole lot, just very fine stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cube. I'm using the cube of brine shrimp. You just hold it over there and you just start rubbing it, and you'll get really fine particles out. It's very easy to do. Now I would recommend, like, if you're going to plan to have baby fish or baby goldfish, to hatch baby brine shrimp and use that. And baby brine shrimp it's a really good food used by a lot of people, but basically you buy eggs and that have a long shelf life, and you just get them wet, and you have a lot of baby brine shrimp that are the perfect size. Also, Daphnia is a very good food to use. I've had Daphnia before, and what's cool about them is when if you crash your tank of Daphnia, it's okay because they lay eggs in the substrate and they'll come back up. You just got to make sure to water change. It's very important to use dechlorinated water that's aged for Daphnia because they're so sensitive to chlorinated water. So what I do is I take chlorinated water from my cleanest tank and I would put it in there for the water changes. You can get Daphnia for like $15 on eBay, maybe even cheaper than that. Pretty good. Plenty of people that sell it online, and they ship pretty well. Another live food you can do to culture would be the whiteworms. The problem with whiteworms is it involves rotting food, and they're kind of smelly. And so I'm not about that life, but if you are, I mean, kudos to you. I don't know, it's just kind of gross to me. You could also use a hard-boiled egg to feed your fry, and you basically just take the yolk out of the hard-boiled egg, and you're going to want to mix it in water, and you can freeze the rest for later. But, I've had mixed reviews on the egg yolk. Some people say it's the best thing ever. Some people say it's really not that good. I don't have any experience with it, so I don't want to recommend it. But, hard-boiled egg would be like the cheapest way to go. Maybe the second cheapest. The next one's infusoria that you can use. Basically, infusoria is in every body of water. There's infusoria in puddles that after a rain, it's everywhere, except our tap water, because we dechlorinate it and put all this stuff to kill it. Now with infusoria, you basically get a banana peel or lettuce, just something, and you put it in dechlorinated water, leave it out in the sun, and you gotta make sure that there's no extreme temperatures or else it'll probably not work. But basically, the water gets cloudy because of all the bacteria, and then the infusoria eat it all. And so when the water clears up, that's when you have your infusoria. And then that's when you can start using to eat it. But my problem with it, you can't really see it because I guess some of them are microscopic. There's over like 4,000 species of it. So apparently some people say you can see it, some people say they're microscopic. And it's just, I haven't worked with it enough to feel too confident about it, feeding it, because, I'd like to see it, make sure my fish are eating. Another good one to use, vinegar eels. I've seen mostly betta breeders use it. And with vinegar eels, the great thing about them is they're like, you can set up the culture and leave it alone for a really long time. Water change it every now and then. Use, aged dechlorinated water as well. They're very, very sensitive as well. Basically, you put an apple in apple vinegar, and the vinegar eels will feed off of the bacteria that's consuming the apple. And so, it's just very easy. You just leave it alone. Water change, whenever. Use coffee filters to harvest. It can be a little tricky. Another tip I want to talk about today is whenever you got your old bags of like pellets, like this was my flower horn food, and there's a little bit of powder at the bottom. I would use that to feed whatever baby fish. It's good to have a variety. It's very good for them. So don't throw these away yet. Just make sure you get some of that powder in there. It's you can get a few meals out of that. It's a good little tip I learned. So if you're going to culture anything, I would recommend having multiple cultures and, you know, in case one of them crashes, or giving, you know, one of your cultures to a friend or two. So that way, you know, if you go on vacation or they all die, you just go to your friend and pick up a starter culture, you know. It's really good to have a community, a support group. All right, I think we have enough. Let's go ahead and feed them. So this is what we got. Really a little goes a long way for this stuff because it's so fine. It really spreads out in the tank. So what I would do is I would take a turkey baster with tank water, and I would just make sure to get it wet, make sure to get it off the sides, get it in the water column before I feed, so that it doesn't all float, so that everyone has a chance of eating some. Now you don't want to use too little or too much. You want to feed as little as possible, as often as possible, because if you overfeed, then you're polluting your tank, and if you underfeed, not everybody gets some. So you got to find your balance. So what I would do is I would just overfeed a lot and siphon out, like maybe an hour or two afterwards, siphon out and just make sure you get all the uneaten food, because that way you can ensure everyone's getting some. So looks like I'm ready to feed. I'm just gonna move it around a little bit so it gets in the water column better. And there we go. Some of the fry, with goldfish fry, it's interesting because some of them grow like almost big enough to eat their siblings. So, I mean, what I try to supplement their diet with frozen brine shrimp as well, because they're a little bit bigger for them to eat. So if you like what I'm doing, please hit that subscribe button at the bottom or the lower left-hand side, or right-hand side. I don't remember where I put it. And if you like what I'm doing, please give a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give a thumbs down. You know, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm looking to make videos every Sunday, and mostly goldfish related. I'm gonna have some flower horn videos, maybe some live bears, just whatever I'm into at the time, whatever I'm into in my hobby. But I also might do saltwater as well. But I gotta sort some things out in my personal life before I want to go the salt route. But I'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Thanks. Please let me know in the comments what video you'd like to see next. And don't forget to subscribe.